Rebound chased down by Ballestero. "13-point lead for St. Francis. Petrozak passes in to Timmons. Timmons backing down on Washington. Hook shot is good. Nice move by Logan Timmons. Washington has shown a lot of gumption down low today, but still at just 6'3". Just by extending the arms. Guys like Timmons, who's 6'7", Ian Morrison at 6'9", and Despo at 6'6", can go to work against him, and they have at times in this game. Here's Gatling inside, up with the right hand. That's a nice soft touch for Dom Gatling. Two-pointer for Holy Cross brings them to within 13 with 13 minutes to play in the game. Here's Raspopovich. Season high 5 assists so far for him today. Petrozak, layup, good. Nice drive by John Petrozak. He's having another outstanding game today. Came in shooting 75% from the field. Today he's at a pathetic 67%. Washington travels. Second or third time today we've seen that from Washington. There's an obvious one earlier in the game. That one maybe a little bit more iffy, and Washington doesn't like the call at all. He stomps away, and now he's being taken out. Croson comes back in. Jordan Thornton checks into the game along with Landis Anderson for St. Francis. Timmons and Raspopovich take their seats. Big lead for the Fighting Saints. Petrozak makes it a bigger one. This guy almost never misses. 2 of 2 from three-point range now today. 2 of 3 for the season. And he has got 13 points to lead St. Francis. Reverse layup is good for Lutz. Nice response for Holy Cross right there. Joe Ballestero across half court for St. Francis. Off to Petrozak. Now Tico Moore hands it right back off to Petrozak. Excuse me, to Ballestero. Now in the corner, Petrozak fouled on the floor.
Defensive foul on Holy Cross, number 24, Dom Gatling, his third.
Third foul on Dom Gatling.
Ian Morrison checks back
third
into
of the team.
Replacing Tico Moore.
Ian Morrison makes his first appearance of the second half for the Fighting Saints. Ballestero, three-pointer off the curl is no good, and it's knocked out of bounds. St. Francis arguing that it was last touched by Brackett, but the Fighting Saints won't get the call. Across the timeline, Ryan Lutz. Over to Jimenez. Up top, Croson, and we got another whistle away from the ball, and the fourth foul on Gatling. I think that the second foul on Gatling, that's a mistake on my part. That's 14 fouls, just 2 on Gatling. Ballestero to Thornton. Back to JoJo, who lobs inside for Ian Morrison. Morrison backing down on Gatling, up from the right side and in. The reverse from Ian Morrison. He's had a strong day. His first action of the season on the bench for the first 2 games. Up to 10 points today, and now it's thrown away and out of bounds. St. Francis takes over, 10:40 on the clock. They have extended their lead to 18 points. They've outscored Holy Cross in this second half. 20-9 so far. Ian Morrison trying to make that number 22-9. Spins, draws the contact, misses the shot. They'll head to the free throw line. Foul was on number 24, Dom Gatling, his third. There's the third foul on Dom Gatling. All three of them have been committed within the last 2 minutes. And Washington hops off the bench. He'll likely come in for Gatling here. First shot is good for Morrison.
Back into the game for Holy Cross, number 44, Jameer Washington.
Gatling will indeed check out. Ian Morrison's second foul shot rolls around and goes down. (56-37) Fighting Saints. Petrczak kicked it. Took it away, but Brackett threw it off his foot first. Very tight first half of this game. We were tied 6 times. Neither team able to pull away in the early going, but over the last couple of minutes of the first half, St. Francis went on a run, and they kept going into the second half as Petrczak has called for a foul.
Defensive foul on number 44,
Rosen was not shooting, so it's not a shooting foul. Fourth foul of the half by the Saints. First on Petrczak. Goes into Brackett. Now to a cutting Lutz, wide open at the free throw line, and he misses the jumper. St. Francis' entire defense just backed away, and Lutz seemed to have too much space. Missed it long. Ballestero, nice ball work going the other way, and he finishes it off with the finger roll to make it a 22-point lead. Jimenez looking for the screen. Ballestero sticks with him. Jimenez lobbed inside for Croson, up with the right hand. Yes, and a foul. Holy Cross is heading back to the charity stripe.
Basket is good.
Bryce Croson.
Number 42, Ian Morrison.
Third foul on Ian Morrison, which was 9:24 to go in the game. Not a huge foul problem. Respopovich comes in for Ballestero. Ballestero having a very quiet day with just 7 points, averaging 21.5 coming in. Landis Anderson checks out as well. Ryan Peter, Jordan Thornton into the game. Respopovich looks up with Peter, and now Petrczak. Inside to Ian Morrison. Morrison standing tall, goes up with the left hand, and puts it in. Nice move down low by Ian Morrison. Washington backing down on Morrison, gives it up to Jimenez, right back to Washington, blocked and a foul.
Shooting foul on the Saints, number 44, Jean.
Foul is called on Jean Petrczak. That's his second, it's the team's 6th. And a full timeout is called by Holy Cross. 61-40 is our score. Big lead for the Fighting Saints of St. Francis, who led by 7 at halftime and then kept pushing and pushing until they got to where we are. Balanced scoring today. Ian Morrison is the team leader with 14 points. Not too shabby for a guy who missed the first 2 games of the season. Hasn't even been out there all that much. 14 points in limited minutes. 13 points for Petrczak. That's 27 points for your 2 leading scorers, both coming off the bench. And then Landis Anderson is the other double-digit scorer on the team with 10. Anderson now in double digits in all 3 games this year. Saints now shooting 52% from the field. They are 9 for 17 since halftime. Actually, sorry, 11. Figure out how to do math first. 11 for 17 since halftime. They have been a well-oiled machine here in the second half. They have not turned the ball over yet in the second half. Holy Cross has 4 turnovers, which is A considerable improvement to what they did in the first half, but now up to 17 for the game. 14 points for Ryan Lutz of Holy Cross, tied with Ian Morrison for a game high. Out of the timeout, free throws for Washington. 2 shots coming up. Washington misses on the first free throw. Nice game so far today for Jamari Washington. He's got a double-double of 12 points and 10 rebounds. Just a 52% foul shooter, and he's right on target, making 50% here, 1 of 2. 61-41, St. Francis. Jake Respopovich in control of the ball. Throws it off for Ryan Peter, and now Jordan Thornton up top. Respopovich passes off the left side, and Thornton for 3, no good. Rebound to Washington. Here comes Holy Cross. Nate Miller pushing the pace. He slows it down with St. Francis defense doing a good job getting back. Now Brackett down into the corner, and Jimenez. Nate Miller, guarded by Ryan Peter. Drives, kicks it outside. 3 ball for Brackett, short. Rebounded by Pietrzak, under 8 minutes to play in the game. Respopovich to the left side, and Peter up top. Pietrzak, he drives. His runner is good, and a foul. Pietrzak has continued his remarkable run of shooting today. 75% from the field, which would be impressive if he were 3 of 4 or 6 of 8, but it's better than that. 18 for 24 on the year shooting. And now a chance from the free throw line. And he hits that as well. Game high 23-point lead for St. Francis. Logan Timmons back out there for the Fighting Saints right now. Nate Miller, just 5'8", bounces once and passes off to Ryan Lutz before getting it right back. Brackett on the right wing. Dribbles with the left hand, drives down the lane, poked away from behind by Pietrzak and out of bounds. Despo back in, Morrison back out for the Fighting Saints. Miller nearly lost it to Respopovich. Now he dribbles to the left. Passing outside, this is Lutz. Lutz pull-up jumper from the free throw line, off the side of the rim as the shot clock expires. Respopovich takes it the other way for St. Francis. Inside, Despo is good. Beautiful feed right there from Jake Respopovich. Respopovich has had a nice day now, 6 assists for him. Came in with 7 in the first 2 games combined. Knocked away from Washington by Despo. And here come the Fighting Saints once again. Respopovich runs into Washington outside the arc. Looking inside, actually no look pass inside to Timmons, but he wasn't ready for it, off his hands and intercepted. That is, I believe, the first turnover of the half committed by St. Francis, but it does not lead to Holy Cross points as Croson misses on the hook shot, and the Fighting Saints will slow things down a little bit. Respopovich trying to split the defense, he loses it. So back-to-back turnovers now. Holy Cross trying to weave their way back into this game, pull off a miracle comeback. Lutz with a whistle away from the ball. And it's going to go against St. Francis.
Fouls away from the ball on number 54.
And it's on Dusko Despo. Despo's 4th foul of the afternoon.
Back into the game, replacing John Pietrzak, number 22,
Landis Anderson is back in. Pietrzak is out. 6:05 on the clock. And the free throw is good. One more coming for Croson. Saints now over the limit. Both teams, in fact, over the limit.
Dom Gatling checks back into the game for Holy Cross.
Dom Gatling and his 3 fouls back in there for Holy Cross. Second free throw rims in. 23-point game. 7 points for Croson. Respopovich to Anderson. I think one of Respopovich's, I think one of his shoes is untied. That's not the issue. His knee is cut. He's bleeding. I think he's not allowed on the floor with an open cut, so he's going to have to, I think, come out for a little while. Well, they're going to let him stay in. The tights he's wearing perhaps have allowed him to stay in. I'm not sure why they're not forcing him out to clean that up, but he will stay in the game. And Timmons will inbound it to Respopovich. Respopovich dribbling to the left, spinning back towards the paint, and he traveled. Saints went a long time in the second half without committing a turnover. 13 minutes before their first turnover of the second half, and now they've committed 3, I believe, on their last 4 possessions. Bryce Croson holds the ball up high, passes off to the right side, nearly poked away by Landis Anderson, but Holy Cross sticks with it. Croson inside to Brackett, and Brackett clears some space and hits the short-range shot. Respopovich over to Anderson. Long 3. Not this time. He hit one of those earlier in the game. But this is a rebound to Holy Cross. Final 5 minutes of play. Saints looking to improve to 1-1 in conference, 1-2 overall, and 1-0 at home this year. But Ryan Lutz's other ideas as he hits a 3, trying to keep his team's hopes alive. Ryan Lutz now has 17 for the game, right at his average. Respopovich, lob for Timmons. Bounced inside for Despo, in and out of his hands, and stolen by Nate Miller. Miller moving quickly in the other direction, all the way down the lane. He kicks it outside to Croson. Croson bounces it inside for Gatling, who's fouled and converts. Nice play by Dom Gatling, withstanding the contact and making the deuce. Gatling will have a chance to make it a 3-point play as Respopovich is called for his second foul.
Moore and Jake Respopovich. Correction, Jojo
Ballestero and Tico Moore are in, so Ryan Marks is bringing a few starters in a blowout game, but Holy Cross is inching back into it. They've scored 4 in a row, trying to make it 5 in a row right here with Dom Gatling's free throw. And he makes it. John Pietrzak back in for the Fighting Saints as well.
Jameer Washington checks back into the game for Holy Cross.
Washington back out there for Holy Cross. Ballestero slowing things down somewhat with a big lead. Anderson on the right wing. Finds Pietrzak up top. Out in for Logan Timmons. One bounce up with the right hand. No good on the runner. Rebound to Washington. Three-pointer, Lutz, short. Pietrzak knocks the rebound. Can't keep it in his clutches. He saves it from going out of bounds. But the loose ball is chased down by Bryce Croson, who is immediately fouled.
Loose ball foul on number 30.
Free throws for Bryce Croson. It'll be a 1-1. Third foul on Tico Moore.
Bryce Croson shooting the 1-1.
Big first free throw coming up right here. And he misses the front end. Must not have heard me when I said it was a big one. Ballestero dribbling to his right, down the baseline, off the glass, no good. Rebounded by Nate Miller. Miller pull up 3 is short. Rebound tap though right back out to Bryce Croson, who draws the foul. Back to the free throw line for Croson, 2 shots this time. Missed the front end of a 1-1 just moments ago. free throw is good. Tico Moore and Dusko Despo both have 4 fouls now. Second free throw is short, rebounded by Tico Moore. Ballestero working his way towards the middle of the court. Bounced inside for Moore, going up against Croson, and Croson blocks it away. Saints on the move. Lutz gets a screen, pull up 3 is good. Timeout called by St. Francis. They still lead by 11, but the lead was 24 just a few moments ago, and they don't want to lose this big lead. So Ryan Marks calls a timeout to nip this Holy Cross rally in the bud and make sure that St. Francis does not cough up what was a very comfortable margin just a few minutes ago. Coming up after today, Holy Cross's next game. Not for over a week. It's next Sunday at home. 3 o'clock against St. Xavier. 3 o'clock Eastern time, of course. They play out in Indiana. Next game for the Fighting Saints a little bit sooner. They're back here at home on Tuesday. That is against Washington Adventist. Excuse me, my mistake. Next Saturday is when they're at home, the 26th. They're at home against Washington Adventist, and they will play a home game next Sunday as well. Washington Adventist on Saturday, Briar Cliff on Sunday. And they're on the road at Trinity Christian before coming back home for a 1 conference game and 1 non-conference game against Judson and Kalamazoo the first week of December. At least 5 of the next 6 contests are at home. A welcome sight for a team that has not played as well on the road this year as they'd like, and a team that has played outstandingly at home, not just today, but throughout Ryan Marks' tenure at the school. Coming out of the timeout, it is St. Francis ball, and Logan Timmons inbounds it. JoJo Ballestero waltzes down the floor with Nate Miller. Anderson slipped and lost the ball. And now here comes Miller leading the Holy Cross charge. Crossed over to the left, he's tripped. Anderson whistled for the foul, number 2 on him.
Nate Miller to the line, shooting
double bonus. First foul shot is good.
Back into the game for the Saints, number 10, Jake
Raspopovich comes in for Tico Moore. If Nate Miller can make this free throw, it's a single-digit deficit once again for Holy Cross, something that they've experienced for the majority of the game, but not so here in the second half. Miller does indeed hit them both. 66-57 is our score. Raspopovich playing the point. Off to Petrozak. Into a cutting Raspopovich. Looking for the turnaround off the backboard. He gets the roll. Nice play by Raspopovich. His 6th and 7th points of the game. Ryan Lutz flies to the hoop, misses the layup. Rebound brought down by Landis Anderson. And it's bad news for Holy Cross. Lutz is still down on the other end of the floor, clutching his left knee. Ryan Lutz drove to the basket, went up for a layup, and missed it. And he hit the ground hard, still holding his left knee. The leading scorer on the Holy Cross Saints this year came in averaging 16.6 points per game. He's got 20 today, and without the trainer's help, he's being walked off the floor by a couple of his own men, so that's a good sign. .209 on the clock, St. Francis ball as Lutz heads to the sideline to be examined. An 11-point game, so unless Holy Cross gets a little bit closer than this, we've probably seen the end of Lutz for the day, regardless of how serious his injury is. St. Francis continues to run away, not much sense in trotting out your potentially injured best player. Ballestero to Petrozak. Now right side is for Spopovich, looking for a cutting Petrozak. Deflected off his hands, but out to Jojo Ballestero. 10 to shoot. Ballestero gets the screen from Petrozak. Now he drives the center of the lane, puts it up, misses hard off the backboard, off the rim, but he's fouled. Saints on the verge of putting this thing away once and for all. Robbie Jimenez has called for his second foul. Jojo Ballestero has 7 points today. Make it 8.
Ryan Lutz checks back into the game for Holy Cross.
Ballestero, like Landis Anderson, has scored double figures in each of the first 2 games this year. Now trying to make it 3 for 3. He's just 1 point away as he makes both free throws to open up a 70-57 lead. Ryan Lutz is back in the game, so obviously the injury not serious, and he seems to be going 100% as he kicks it out to Nate Miller. Miller throws one up, no good. Loose ball foul called on the rebound. Timmons will be whistled for that one. A lot of fouls in this game.
Loose ball foul on the Saints, number 40, Logan Timmons, his 3rd.
Slowing down the potential conclusion. Francis still up big, but they haven't been able to run away to the extent that Holy Cross, I'm sure, feels like they're completely out of it. They're still probably holding on to a glimmer of hope. The lead was 24 at its largest. Now it's 13. It was down to 9 just a minute ago. Washington makes the first of 2 free throws. 14 points for him today. He hits them both. Timeout called by Holy Cross. Just a 30-second timeout. You've got to think that Holy Cross is still feeling at this point like they've got a shot in this game. You don't want to give up, and give them credit for fighting hard, even while they were losing big. At the 7:07 mark, they're actually down by 25 points. And they did not hold up and go home. They kept pushing, and against some solid players from St. Francis, even with that 25-point lead, they have at no point cleared the bench. They've been going with their starters or their key reserves. They have not dug down deep into the bench so far today, and maybe they would have with the 20-plus point lead in the second half in another game this year, perhaps later in the year, but when you're 0-2 and desperately searching for that first win, you're not going to pull your foot off the gas pedal for any reason. And that's the way Ryan Marks, I think, has approached this game. We're down just over a minute now, though, and it is an 11-point game. So very long odds against Holy Cross. Ballestero. Into Petrozak. Handed off to Ballestero. Petrozak up with the right hand, no good. Knocked out of bounds by Jamari Washington. A rare missed shot from John Petrozak, but Saints get it back. They're saying that shot did not hit the rim. So the shot clock does not reset. It's at 1 second, and Ryan Marks wants a timeout. He was upset. I'm not sure if it's because he thought the shot clock should reset, or if he was mad at his team for not immediately recognizing that there was only 1 on the shot clock. A lot of the players from the bench are calling to the official and saying it should have started over at 30 because it hit the rim. I thought it hit the rim, but apparently not. They are saying officially 1 second on the clock. So Ryan Marks will try to draw up a play right here. Only 59 seconds remain in the game at this point. They'll come out of the timeout with Ballestero, Raspopovich, Anderson. Timmons? No, Petrozak, sorry. And Timmons. There's their 5. Raspopovich into Petrozak. He got it off on time and he scored. I'm not sure he did get rid of that in time, but he got rid of it about as quickly as he could. A very impressive play drawn up out of the timeout. 72-59, Fighting Saints. And now a steal for Petrozak. John Pietrzak has had an outstanding game, up to 18 points now. Another solid shooting night as well at 70%. Below his season average, but I think that's okay in this case. Respopovich bounces it in. Now Pietrzak blocked and taken away by Washington. This will probably be the last chance for Holy Cross to add to their point total for today. Lutz with the runner off the glass and in. No shot clock now. Holy Cross will put on a full court press, but now that the Fighting Saints get it in, once they get it across half court, they can just hold on, and that's exactly what will happen. Respopovich walks it across, and now he'll let the last 10 seconds tick off the clock. Applause from the St. Francis bench. They are off the schneid. The University of St. Francis has their first victory of the 2016-17 season, 72-61 over Holy Cross College. It wasn't easy in the first half as the two teams went back and forth, but they pulled away in the second half. Credit to Holy Cross, an excellent run late in the second half to turn a 25-point deficit into a 9-point game at one point, but they were not able to complete the comeback. Saints pull away once again in the end, and they win 72-61 in a game that was not as close in the second half as the final score will show us today. But they'll take it any way they can get it. They were looking for that win after being ranked number 5 in the preseason, a disappointing 0-2 start to the year, and now here they are in the win column at home for the first time this year, and they are unbeaten at the Sullivan Center this year, as they were in conference play last year at the Sullivan Center. Let's take a look at some of the final stats from today's game. St. Francis shot exactly 50% as a team from the field, 28 for 56. Holy Cross, 39%, 21 of 54. Fighting Saints 43% on 3 balls, 29% for the Saints. St. Francis missed just 1 free throw, 10 of 11. Holy Cross 15 of 22 at 68%. 19 turnovers for Holy Cross, which is a bad number for certain, but significantly improved in the second half. They had 13 of them in the first half and only 6 in the second half. St. Francis had 7 in the first half, 4 in the second half. So both teams took care of the ball a little bit better in the second half, but only 11 turnovers for St. Francis. They did a good job of not giving the ball up in this one. Leading scorer for Holy Cross was Ryan Lutz with 22 points. A double-double for Jamari Washington. He had 15 points and 13 rebounds. For St. Francis, John Pietrzak led the way with 18 points. Double figures as well for Ian Morrison, getting his first taste of NAIA action this year. He scored 14 points. Landis Anderson had 10, his third consecutive game in double digits. Jake Respopovich doubled his season assist total with 7 of them to lead the way, and Logan Timmons had 6 rebounds for the Fighting Saints today. That's really maybe the one down spot for the Fighting Saints. They struggled with the rebounds overall in today's game, and a lot of offensive rebounds for Holy Cross. Even though they didn't shoot well and they turned the ball over a lot, they did have a few extra chances to keep this game relatively close towards the end. They finished with 37 rebounds, only 24 for St. Francis. But most important thing, final score, 72-61 in favor of the Fighting Saints. They are now 1-2 for the season, 1-1 in conference. Back to the non-conference slate starting next Saturday. They'll get Thanksgiving week off, and then a few days after the holiday, they get a couple of weekend games. Saturday night here, 8 o'clock start time against Washington Adventist a week from today, and then the following afternoon, a matinee against Briar Cliff starting at 2 p.m. Both of those games will be here at the Sullivan Center, so that means you can catch them both through the St. Francis YouTube page, which you can find, as always, on GoFightingSaints.com. Thanks for tuning into today's game. That's going to do it for me from Joliet, Illinois, down on Pat Quigley Court at the Sullivan Center. Fighting Saints get their first victory of the season, 72-61 over Holy Cross. Until next time, this is Terry Bonadonna signing off for the University of St. Francis. Good night, all.